Are you good for a second? Can't hear us? Oh, but the show can't. The stream can't. Okay. All right. You want to just tighten up? See my stuff in show notes. Iran is really. That's more new, I think. Immigration, I guess. I mean,
I'm lost by the sea, I'm learning to breathe. It's blinding how bright this
and then you saw the stuff that I wrote back for all that. I can't really think of anything else culturally. You got that restream link, or are we doing it this way? Alright. Uh-oh. Yeah, probably. I'm seeing on Twitter that Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom broke up. So that's really important to me as a person to know that. Right. Yeah. So just in case anyone was wondering what's going on in this person's life. Yeah, you don't want to miss out. Right.
Happening is extremely.
Free Palestine, bro. That's literally what it hinged on.
We made history.
Oh, of course I'm muted, because, pro streamer, dude. W. Epic.
Okay, we're live.
Okay, just kidding. That's alright, we were just yapping about nothing anyways. Getting the studio ready. But yeah, I was saying this mayoral election thing kind of took me by surprise because I'm not following anything in New York anymore. It's just a complete disaster up there. Like, part of me is just like, let it burn, But at the same time, it's like, it's New York, man. It's America. It's like the heart of America.
It
Was, yeah. A lot of history, dude.
communism.
Yeah, it's gotten ridiculous. I wish this was like, I think you saw that tweet that I posted, which it wasn't even about this, but it was like, I want to go back to when this was all just bad Saturday Night Live skits and, South Park episodes. It's all real now. We're so stupid. We're so unfathomably stupid. It's like, I just wish it was fake. Let me see if I can share this for you. There, this should be good. You should be able to see this now.
Yeah,
Tell me if you can hear volume too.
yeah.
Can you hear volume? Okay, good. Yeah, go ahead.
It's all like random things that made people attracted to him. And the other side of it is he's really charismatic.
Yeah.
Charismatic on the scale of Barack Obama, which is terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
And people are just, and that is more of the reason somebody like this, that's why they're going to vote for this. And it would take a Red Foreman, which is basically what we're seeing in the Trump v. Obama saga, right? So you get this really, really well-spoken. You get this really well-spoken figure who's very charismatic, and they're selling bullshit.
Right.
And then you get, the response, which is like, critical thinking response to that. And that's basically what Trump was.
Yep. Yeah, it's turned into a complete nightmare. This whole, all this, and all the Marxist like programming, they sit on that so heavily. They pump it so well into like all of the, universities, into the corporations, into the media, into the entertainment. It's just like, I think I shared. There was a post by that Elon posted actually, and I think I responded to this or shared it on my profile. I thought it was like perfect. Yeah, this right here. Because he posts and he's like, "Baby, what happened to woke? Dead, my darling. Woke is dead." It's probably some stupid movie quote. I don't even know. But it's like stop believing this bullshit. All the institutions, the corporations, academia, entertainment, everything is still completely overrun by these nut jobs. Like, all the Marxist influence is still permeating through all these channels. So anybody who's telling you, "Oh, it's all over now," is either not paying attention or they're being subversive. So I don't think necessarily that he's being subversive. I just think he's kind of aloof sometimes.
This is also interesting too. So, on the other side of this, we shouldn't be surprised at all that this happened in a place like New York City. It's the mayor race for New York City, Chicago, Detroit, LA, New York City. Everywhere you go in the U.S., in the cities, you have this ultra blue faction that drives the Democrat Party in every city. They think they're so progressive, they think they're so much better than everybody else, and they're attracted to Marxism. Why? I was looking at it. I don't know if it was you that sent me this or someone else, but somebody posted a Peter Thiel email, and basically what he says in this email is that we can't ignore these people that are gravitating towards Marxism, and not in the sense that we should entertain the delusion of the concept of Marxism, but what we need to do is understand why they might be attracted to that stuff, right? And in his specific example was student loan debt, for example. They're going to colleges, they're getting hammered with debt. I mean, some of these people leave college with more debt in student loan debt than they would qualify for on a house.
Yeah.
Right? They wouldn't even be able to get a house for that amount of money. With a down payment, by the way.
Yeah.
And they're getting this debt in college in the form of student loans. No down payment, no job, no clue how they're even going to pay it. It's just like, we're just going to give you this money because you're going to school. Like, it's one of the most bizarre practices, and it doesn't help people. And what these people start to feel is like they are basically priced out of everything. They enter the workplace with debt and a monthly payment that is always hanging over their head. And so this creates this effect of people feeling like they're already shut out of the system. So if I'm not participating and I'm not benefiting from capitalism, then why not just burn it all down? That was basically Peter Thiel's point.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the same phenomenon that I think contributes to people gravitating towards Marxist concepts in cities. And I think it's also what especially what's happening in New York City. Even though the population went down, the price of housing didn't really improve. And people are staying in closets for like $1,500 a month. That's New York City.
Well, and something that you mentioned always remind the amounts of student loan debts that these people incur, I think, is another factor that drives them like further into the ideology. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy enough to set for, like, me as a layperson who didn't go to college and didn't incur all this debt to kind of look at all the sides and be like, yeah, well, that seems pretty stupid. But if I paid $250,000 for my degree to be indoctrinated by these people and get taught that this was the good idea or this was the right idea, I probably wouldn't feel that way, or it would probably not be as easy to kind of beat back that, sort of like minion in your head. Because the other thing is too is that since everybody else did the same thing, when you go out into the into most of the fields that you're going to go into, especially like STEM and especially like liberal arts or anything like that, you're going to have to work with these people who are also indoctrinated at the same school. So you even if you disagree, and they may disagree too, you're probably still going to wear the mask of like the Marxist progressive ideology, because you have to make sure you get along with all this other stuff. So either you ignore it or you go along with it. So you're just cemented into that ideology in one way or another. It's such a
Yeah, and I'm telling you,
shit show.
especially in a place like New York City, they really lay it on thick. You get it at school, you get it everywhere you go. You go to the bar, anywhere you go, man. It's laid on so thick, and people really start to believe that it's normal. You know what I mean? And that there's something wrong with
You just cut out.
people who don't think like a city dweller. Because there is something valid.
You're cutting out. I don't know if it's me or you.
Jeez, as
Losing
it
you.
applies to city dwelling, right? It's almost like it was designed. Are you losing audio?
Yeah, now
What?
it's back, I think. I don't know if it was
Okay,
you or me.
let me know. Okay, so it's almost like these ideologies are more or less designed for city dwellers, right?
Yeah.
These places where, let's say you're in a homogenous city, you're still going to have a lot of diversity of thought. So what does that mean? You got to fucking get along with people, right? So it's like that's going to be, where you have high concentrations of people, that's going to be more and more true. So, but not everybody wants that, and not everybody has to want that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's you know trying to blow that up for like a societal model. I mean, I don't want to invalidate it altogether and just say it's completely invalid, because there is something to be said about just being able to live with our differences without getting violent.
Yeah.
That definitely factors in. And when people think that if you don't want to come to the city, basically, and assimilate, and that's it all ties back to that elitist, smug, liberal.
Well, it's kind of funny to me too that that's the like attitude, or that's like how it's presented. But cities, especially New York, for example, are like notoriously segregated, like self-segregated. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you're Mexican, you live over here in Little Mexico, or Hispanic. If you're Chinese, you're living in Chinatown. If you're black, you're living here. If you're African, you're not necessarily living with the blacks, because they don't get along necessarily. A lot of the African immigrants don't really get along with, black Americans. So it's like they've all chosen to self-segregate, and then they're preaching to the rest of the world, like, you guys need to be like us. Whereas in the South, like, I mean, where we grew up, it's like you don't have a choice. You live around who you live around, and that's who you have, and you kind of have to learn to work with them. It's kind of funny how that's presented.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
When you're presenting it like that, it's actually really funny, because who is it? Who is it the most that is talking like that? It's fucking white liberal women.
Yeah, dude, it's so bad, dude.
Bro. White liberal women and their cuck boyfriends.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's true.
And they've got this perspective from living in these cities, almost like they're talking about this agricultural landscape and their fucking livestock. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're like, oh, we can live in this city and we can tolerate all these people who we're not going to admit have self-segregated and we've also self-segregated. And sometimes when we live in those communities with those people, it's not because we want to, it's because we can't afford it
Yeah.
to live in the Upper West Side or the financial district. So we find somewhere that we can fit in, and we found a nice little closet in that neighborhood we could afford, you know. But then they think to themselves, like, well, I learned how to get along with these people. Well, you also put yourself in a situation where you didn't have a fucking choice, you know. And so, anyway, all that plays in. The housing prices and all that also play in, and then that mentality plays in.
Yeah. Is there even, I don't know if you've even been following this at all either, but is there even like an opposition to him? Like who is
Eric
the
Adams.
is the Republic? Oh,
and
because he's the
there's-
sitting.
there's, yeah, so I think maybe he's just I don't really understand. Maybe they're just trying to primary Eric Adams out. I don't really know.
Well, I'm confused too because who is it? Sneeko was just like at the mayor's house. Like, I was gonna do like a review of this stream, but I guess he was over there, and I don't know what the point of all that was. Let's see.
I knew earlier today, and then I stopped keeping up with it, and it's left my brain now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull all this stuff
Yeah,
back up.
my mom's Filipino. Yeah, my mom's Filipino. My dad is
Sneeko and Eric
half
Adams.
black.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And this was like
White.
a week ago.
Just sitting here.
It was like 10,
you know, like, look
11
at
days
the whole
ago.
flavor of the mix.
And this was bizarre too, because I'm like,
You know, New York.
what is Sneeko doing with the mayor? What is a porn star doing with the mayor? Like, what is happening in New York City? Like, I don't even know what the point of all this was. And there's somebody else here too. I don't know who these people are. And are they smoking weed? Like, I don't know what's happening here.
Gotcha.
And it has no fillers, no chemicals. It's the most organic cigar you will have.
Oh, they're smoking
And the best
cigars.
presentation going. You
Okay,
know,
Eric Adams is running as an independent,
I see.
and he's also the incumbent because he's still the mayor. So
Yeah.
that's all. Eric
It's
Adams
just
ran as
weird, dude.
independent. I think Eric left the Democratic Party. That was what it was. And then there's a Republican, Curtis Sliwa. I don't really know. The founder of the Guardian Angels. Okay, it's a Republican nominee. Nobody opposed him, and so that's the choice.
What's up,
So
Blizza?
my guess is that one of those two will pull ahead.
Yeah, this is
And
crazy,
maybe
dude.
the only thing that really concerns me, honestly, with this is if Mamdani is running as a Democrat, Eric Adams is running as an independent, and Sliwa is running as a Republican, then Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa are both going to have to make a decision if Mamdani. I mean, he won the Democrat nomination, but I think it was like 400,000 votes. Let me see. Or like 1 million votes or something, which is like, what, 1/3 of the city's Democrat Party? So, like, basically, the progressives and leftists showed up to help Mamdani win. You know?
What is this? Is this the guy? I'm so confused.
We ain't got this is a message. Mayor Eric Adams to not the
my
Mayor
God.
Curtis Sliwa, my nemesis. You protesting too much, dog. You keep getting arrested, wasting all my police. We ain't got time for this.
What is-
And yes, I know about your plans to protest at my mansion on Sunday. If you want to get arrested again, you go right on ahead. You finna get what you asking for. New York City is being invaded by migrants, and it is my job to help them take over.
Wait, what?
What?
Stay
Who's
away
this
from
guy?
Gracie Mansion.
I don't know, dude. What is this?
Wait, hold on. This is Michael Anthony. Scroll up. Can't see shit.
I don't know.
Okay, he's a comedian, bro. I was about to say this
I
do
mean,
skits
I
or
don't know, dude.
Okay,
Followed
so
by AKA
basically,
follow.
I
He's
think-
followed by Theo Von. Okay, that might be just somebody goofing around. I don't know. I was trying to get the dang
Yeah, I
guy's
mean-
name. Here we go. This is the mayoral candidate.
New York,
Republican.
New York already went. Yeah,
Why does he have this
New
stupid
York
hat?
went moderate with Eric Adams already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know that they will choose to go radical in this case. Obviously, the leftists in New York are excited about it. So basically, everyone that's voting for Mamdani is somebody who lives in a closet.
I mean,
And
are
I don't know. They
they?
typically go moderate, and they already did with Eric Adams. What's the guy that came before him? He was mayor for a long time. He was moderate. I mean, not by our standards, but so the only thing that concerns me is like if people for some reason split between Republicans and Eric Adams and the Independents, right? Then Mamdani could actually pull ahead and win.
Yeah.
But people are assuming that because he's the Democrat nominee, that there's no other there's no other Democrat candidate. But Eric Adams was the Democrat candidate and he won.
Did you see? Did you see this?
Then he went independent.
Zohan's little video
Grocery prices
about
are out of control. The cost of eggs and
yeah,
milk
can you
has
pause?
skyrocketed. Some
Yeah, I love how this guy's.
Did you see this one?
Yeah, I saw this stupid shit.
grocery prices
And he
are
has
out
this
of control.
stupid.
The cost of eggs and milk.
Look at these
has skyrocketed.
graphics, bro.
Some stores are even using dynamic pricing, jacking up the cost over the course of a day depending on what they can get away with. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zahran Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option.
Such a
For
bad
produce.
idea.
We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive or having to pay property taxes or rent, and will pass on those savings.
What the
Grocery
fuck?
prices are out of control. The cost of eggs and milk.
That's such a bad idea, dude. Like, I don't understand. We've done this before. You can't do this. Price controlling food is like, do you know what the Holodomor is? Like, do you know what happens when you start controlling? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think is going to happen here?
People like Mamdani and Obama. They are the most dangerous people humanity has to offer because what you're looking at is someone who is pure sales, pure
Yeah.
charisma. Like if you're making a fucking human archetype, what you're looking at there is fucking somebody who just went pure charisma and nothing else. You give this piece of shit a script and he will sell it to everyone he meets. It doesn't matter what's in the script, there is zero analysis being conducted of it whatsoever. I don't know, what is his background? Does he have a degree in finance or economics or something?
I don't know.
I'm really interested because he was a rapper at one point. So
Was he really
yeah,
a rapper? That's crazy. I'm trying to see what the Muslim like demographics are of NYC too.
let me see. I want to see real quick because this will be interesting. I don't want to say anything too early because I haven't looked into this guy at all.
Population size about a million Muslims live in New York City. 9% of the population. That's actually pretty massive.
Which is pretty dangerous.
That's
because
actually
they hate
really
Jews.
dangerous. They
and
hate
they're mad
everybody,
about-
dude.
Yeah, and he's not Muslim. I mean, you could take one look at this guy. He's not practicing, from what I can see.
Well, and the most dangerous, but that's the thing. The most dangerous part about the problem with Islam and Judaism when compared to Christianity, which even though Christianity has sects and different denominations that split off from the Orthodox and the Catholic Church that are not great, and they're like cults and all that stuff. But those are, when they've split off that far, they're pretty obvious to see, and it's like but at the core foundation, even those sects that are far and away from the roots, so to speak, the practice, like at the moral foundation, you're not supposed to lie. Like, lying is a sin. Whereas in Islam, in the Quran, and even in the Talmud and different like rabbinic texts for Judaism, they can actively lie and be deceptive intentionally, like if it promotes their religion or if it's to further their people or cause or whatever. It's allowed. It's actually like sort of like revered or like taught. They're like taught to do this.
Yeah, almost like Talmudic
Mm-hmm.
Judaism. Okay, so we were talking about this earlier. I'm just gonna read this.
You can send stuff to me too if you want to pull it up.
Yeah. No, it was in a private group. So a bunch of us that used to live in New York were just talking about this. This guy's basically his comments were, it might work as jihad against unbelievers, which is what you're talking about. Total demoralization, followed by destruction, collapse, and then the pure order built on the ashes of the fallen empire.
Yeah.
And then, somebody said, interesting take, go ahead, and in quotations, go ahead, mutilate yourself. And then something like that. Then he says back to that one, something like that. Yuri Bezmenov theory: subversion, demoralization, destabilization, takeover, normalization. So it's just basically cycles, right? And that pretty much is what the Muslim community, at the very least, is going to see in Zohran Mamdani, and it could be what he's doing, but I don't think that's the case because I did just get his background up. His background, fucking huge surprise here. No fucking finance degree. No economics degree.
Shocker, dude.
Let's talk about his early education. Attended the Bank Street School for Children in Manhattan, known for its progressive approach. Early education, what does that mean? K through 5, K through 8, K through 12. No, not K through 12, so probably middle school. So all the way through fucking 8th grade potentially, this guy's getting fucking indoctrinated by progressives. This is in Manhattan. Later, St. George's Grammar School in Cape Town, South Africa, during his family's brief stay there. So somewhere between elementary and high school. High school, graduated from the Bronx High School of Science, a prestigious NYC public school with a competitive entrance exam. Okay, pretty cool, but what's happening there? Smug liberal indoctrination. Again, trust the scientists. Everybody's retarded because they're not science.
Right.
College, earned a bachelor degree in Africana Studies from Bowdoin College. What the fuck? Africana Studies?
I don't even know what that means.
It means woke. I mean, it's interesting. Like that. That's like what do you do with that in the real world? That's a YouTube rabbit hole, dude. That's an interesting hobby.
Yeah.
Not a fucking degree. So, okay, his academic focus on Africana studies and government centered on social justice, post-colonial theory, and political systems, as if it actually focused on political systems. It focused on Marxism. That's
Right.
not political. It's an economic fucking pipe dream. Influenced by his parents, renowned scholar Mahmoud Mamdani and filmmaker Mira Nar. So basically, mega woke. He's been living this shit his entire life. It's been validated by him and his immediate close community, and they've basically created and lived in this self-validating bubble full of self-fulfilling prophecies their entire life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Professional background, it's amazing, dude. All this stuff he went to school for, right? Perfect for what. I mean, it's just. I mean, let me just read it. Foreclosure prevention housing counselor, right? Worked in Queens assisting low income, predominantly non-white homeowners facing eviction and foreclosure. Why is it important that they're non-white and facing foreclosure? Because it's racist when bad things happen to
Right.
non-white people, right? Uh, this role shaped his focus on housing justice and motivated his political career. No fucking shit. I didn't even need that sentence to figure this fucker out. Engage in grassroots movements. Okay, community organizing and activism. No shit. But look at this. Including a 15-day hunger strike in 2021 with
What?
NYC taxi drivers to secure $450 million in debt relief for medallion loans.
Where did you
That,
just wiki this?
yeah.
That's crazy.
He also organized a proposed fracked gas plant in Astoria and led the Fix the MTA campaign, securing $35 million for subway service improvements and fare-free bus pilot, which is like, again, these are super woke things that go on in New York City because everything needs to be subsidized, and people in Upper West Side and, you know, Yonkers, they just need to pay more in taxes and everything will be fine. Because
That's
that's
so
solves
crazy, dude.
society's problems all the time. Creative pursuits, yeah. He made some fucking weird rap video.
What the fuck?
It's super weird. It's like put the flavor on the rice or some bullshit, and it's like they play like 30 seconds of it in his ads, or whatever they're putting together. Okay, he was elected to the New York State Assembly in 2020, represented Queens 36th district, defeated a four-term incumbent, which is, obviously due to his charisma and the fact that he's hyper progressive. So I mean, that's the thing, dude. He was basically forged in the fires of extreme woke progressive Marxism as a
Dude, see,
progressive
that's what's
from a young age.
that's crazy
And that's the
about
critical part. Sorry, that's the critical part. Is that young fucking age?
yeah.
0 to 7, probably even if it was just 5 to 7 years old, where he's in this hyper progressive school, dude. But he's also in this hyper progressive family in New York, where they're all doing the victim woke thing,
Yeah.
you know. And so that's why he's able to just fucking have this charisma about it and be this snake oil salesman about it. He's probably never been significantly challenged on his beliefs. Not just purely looking at his geographic location, I don't think he's ever been in an environment situation that has really significantly challenged his beliefs. Because they want that. All those people around him, they want that. They're like, yes, we can fucking make this guy into the Marxist Jesus Christ. We don't care what the damage is.
Yeah. The Marxist Muhammad, dude.
So they're all feeding it, dude. They're all pushing him. They're trying to radicalize him more. You know,
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the one thing that I will give. Like, it is crazy to me. Like, Democrats are just willing to just risk it. Like, they will just send it
They'll
on a
sacrifice
candidate
anything.
like this. Yeah, and they'll take out like an incumbent like that just to make sure that they get. Yeah, just to make sure that they get somebody who's like going to be able to carry their message successfully. And even if they're a little more like they are wanting to progress and become more further and further left, like even if they're hiding it, whereas Republicans, it's like we can't even like we have to be pushing back the nonsense. You have to be undoing the stuff. You can't just be hitting the brakes anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to work.
And very few people are willing to talk about the fact that the left has been running a Fabian subversion strategy
Yeah.
for several decades.
Yep.
Several decades. That's, all the institutionalization. That was sort of like the peak, if you will. If there's a fall, right, then it would be a peak. We don't really know if that's going to happen. Probably it slowed it down. There's been a slowdown at least.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the effects of all this subversion and Fabian strategy is undone, but that is what they're running. And they will, if they realize that they're losing ground, they will turtle back up, right? And
Right.
So like people have to get serious about American values and defining those and defending those and maybe even codifying them, you know? Like maybe we should codify the Communist Protection Act, you know?
Yeah.
That would maybe that could go a long way, but that's what they're doing and they'll revert right back to it and they'll use whoever fits their agenda. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they don't at the end of the day these people don't give a shit about the Jews in Israel and they just proved it in New York City
Right.
because a lot of people they just, you know, they got on that train and they said, okay, you know, free Palestine, socialism good. We've wanted a Marxist for so long. And they said, all right, forget it. You know, we don't care about anti-Semitism, according to the, you know, the fake Jewish standards.
Well, you know what's funny? I was just listening to, golly, I don't know who I was just listening to that was breaking this down. And they were talking about how a lot of American Jews had sort of like switched, made a pretty heavy jump after the fall of the Soviet Union and stuff like that, and they realized like that the Bolsheviks and that communists weren't pro-Jew or like pro-Israel at all. So that's like a big part of where this sort of like neoconservative position started to come from in America, because they weren't before that. They were like all in on the progressivism and like the communism, and they were like totally about it. And then they jumped ship because they were like, oh shit, they don't actually give a shit about us. Like they don't really care. They're not. It's not like Jewish communism. It's like communism by itself.
By the way, we should
I
check
thought that
our
was
volume in
interesting.
chat just to make sure
Yeah.
it's better now. 'Cause somebody was saying it was low earlier.
Yeah, I think I did. I think it got good now.
But it's interesting now to see that now that more Jews are more conservative, and that the Zionists and the conservatives tend to get along better, with some moderate spillover.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to see Democrats so willing to take on this hyper progressive culture in Islam, and they're willing to risk basically everything because Muslims will, like, they'll be your friend at first, just like anyone else, but eventually it's going to be time for fucking jihad. You bunch of goddamn
and it's literally in their teachings. Like they are told like to smile and wave essentially until it's time, until you have and then once you have the tipping point, it's jihad, and you're converting or you're.
What happened in Persia?
Look at I wanted to watch this too, or like part of this.
I mean, none of the Middle East was ever Islamic.
I don't know if you've ever seen this before. This is super old, but it has to do with like it has to do with the demographic changes. And this is like a 16-year-old video. We watched this last week on Rycam, but it's just still relevant to like the immigration right now. Like
it's gonna be like counter Fabian Islamic revolution.
Yeah.
According to research, in order for a culture to maintain itself for more than 25 years, there must be a fertility rate of 2.11 children per family. With anything less, the culture will decline. Historically, no culture has ever reversed a 1.9 fertility rate. A rate of 1.3, impossible to reverse.
Is it going to stay
because it
over
would take 80 to 100 years to correct itself.
Yeah.
And there is no economic model that can sustain a culture during that time. In other words, if two sets of parents each have one child,
this is
there
crazy.
are half as many children as parents. If those children have one child, then there are 1/4 as many grandchildren.
They've been programmed
as
not to.
grandparents. If only 1 million babies are born in 2006, it's hard to have 2 million adults enter the workforce in 2026.
We gotta get them.
Population
You got to start
shrinks.
humping, dude.
So does the culture. As of 2007, the fertility rate in France was 1.8, England 1.6, Greece 1.3,
I've been
Germany
talking about this for months.
1.3, Italy 1.2,
They're cooked, dude.
Maybe
Europe is totally cooked.
1.1.
This is 16 years old. Just
Across
remember
the
that.
entire European Union of 31 countries, the fertility is a mere 1.38. Historical research tells us these numbers are impossible to reverse.
And they're way ahead of
In a
us on
matter
this.
of years,
Oz,
Europe, as we know it,
and just talk for a minute about how significant that gap is, because we're not talking about the difference between 1.9 and 2.11. We're talking about the fucking difference. We're already fucked, by the way. It's irreversible at 1.9. We're talking about the difference between like 1.3 something, 6 or 8, depending on the country,
Yep.
and 1.9. So we're well below irreversible. You know
Yeah, across Europe, it's toast. I mean, it's like I think in America, there's still a fair fighting chance. I mean, it's especially because certain states,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, are still going to be like Utah is probably fine. You know what I mean? That's where like the Mormons basically run the whole state.
Yeah, and they will take over with a Fabian breeding strategy,
Mm-hmm.
and their fucking fertility rate is
cease
going to be
to
like 5 or
exist.
6 or 7 or 8.
Oh yeah, wait, just wait,
Something crazy.
just wait.
Because
yet the
they're getting everybody pregnant, even the fucking 5-year-olds.
Yeah, just listen.
population
If they get,
of
that's what they're
Europe
getting
is
to.
not declining. Why? Immigration. Islamic immigration. Of all
Yep.
population growth in
stupid.
Europe since 1990, 90% has been
Take
Islamic
an Uber in
immigration.
fucking London, bro.
Yeah,
France, 1.8
In DC,
children
it's
per
Choose
family.
crazy.
your car.
Muslims,
yeah. In DC, it was crazy. Even in DC, in like Chicago, and it wasn't until I got back that it was like the Uber drivers were just like typical Americans again. I was like, this is crazy, dude.
If there's one thing we should learn from the Middle East, it's that you're not shooting your fucking way out of Islam.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean, you can do some shooting, but you got to do some humping too.
8.1. In southern France,
Yeah, did you
traditionally
see
one of the
that?
most 80% has been Islamic immigration.
I told you it's going to
France,
be 8.
1.8
Yep.
children per family. Muslims, 8.1.
Fucking
8.
told you.
In southern
It's gonna be
France,
Like,
insane.
we're not even in the same league, dude. Like, people are not grasping like what a problem this is. Like, they're doing this here. They're doing it everywhere. They just had that huge project that got canceled in Texas, where they were like trying to put together that giant Islamic sort of like what it was like a $400 million like project. Yeah, they basically just wanted to
They're
bet.
gonna develop a whole town.
Yeah, they were just going to make a compound basically.
traditionally
No,
one of the
town.
most
Yeah,
Town.
yeah, it was huge.
populated church regions in the world, there are now more mosques than churches. 30% of children ages 20 and younger are Islamic. In the larger cities such as Nice, Marseille, and Paris, that number has grown to 45%. By 2027, 1 in 5 Frenchmen will be Muslim. In just 39 years, France will be an Islamic republic.
We're halfway there.
In the
Essentially,
last
because this
30
is a
years,
16. This is
the
16
Muslim
years old.
population of Great Britain rose from 82,000 to 2.5
My
million,
God.
a
Yeah.
30-fold increase. There are over 1,000 mosques, many of them former churches. In the Netherlands, 50% of all newborns are Muslim, and in only 15 years, half of the population of the Netherlands will be Muslim. In Russia, there are over 23 million Muslims. That's 1 out of 5 Russians. 40% of the entire Russian army will be Islamic in just a few short years.
Well, it's been more than a
Currently
few
in
years
Belgium,
now.
25% of the population
Russia's
and
one I'm interested
50%
in.
of all
I wonder if they
newborns
did anything
are
about that.
Muslim. The government of Belgium has stated 1/3 of all
They've done-
European children
they have done
will be
a
born
lot of
to Muslim
deportation.
families by 2025, just 17 years away. The German government, the first to talk about this publicly, recently released a statement saying, "The fall in the German population can no longer be stopped. Its downward spiral is no longer reversible. It will be a Muslim state."
So they just gave up and opened the borders, like.
Muammar al-Gaddafi of Libya said, "There are signs that Allah will grant victory to Islam in Europe, without swords, without guns, without conquest. We don't need terrorists. We don't need homicide bombers. The 50+ million Muslims in Europe will turn it into a Muslim continent within a few decades."
Woke shit libs
There
will
are currently
fucking give your
52
country to
million
us.
Muslims in Europe. The German government said that number is expected to double in the next 20 years to 104 million. Closer to home, the numbers tell a similar story. Right now, Canada's fertility rate is 1.6.
Yeah, Canada's
nearly a
fucked.
full point below what is required to sustain a culture. And Islam is now the fastest growing religion. Between 2001 and 2006, Canada's population increased by 1.6 million, 1.2 of those immigration. In the United States, the current fertility rate of American citizens is 1.6. With the influx of the Latino nations, the rate increases to 2.11, the bare minimum required to sustain a culture. In 1970, there were 100,000 Muslims in America. Today, there are over 9 million. The world is changing. It's time to wake up.
Too late.
3 years ago, a meeting of 24 Islamic organizations was held in Chicago. The transcripts of that meeting showed in detail their plans to evangelize America through journalism, politics, education, and more. They said, "We must prepare ourselves for the reality that in 30 years, there will be 50 million Muslims living in America. The world that we live in is not the world in which our children and grandchildren..."
Like, why would we even allow this at all? Like, why
recently reported that Islam has just surpassed their membership numbers.
should be banned and monitored? Like, that's why I'm like over this. I'm like, we need some authoritarianism. Like, we need shit banned. This shit has to be banned. You shouldn't even be allowed to have that conference at all. And all of you should just be deported for even trying. Like, the whole, everybody, all of you and your extended family with you would get rid of, like, 10,000 just by that alone. Like,
a policy that could prevent things like this too would be a conscription policy, where it's like, if you come here as a generation immigrant, whatever, and you have kids or whatever, and you're from one of these antithetical religions, you gotta your kids or some shit, they gotta serve in the fucking military.
yeah.
You gotta serve, your kids gotta serve if you want to be citizens, right? And if they choose not to, then everybody loses their citizenship.
Well, it's crazy that, like, and
No
this
voting, none of that shit. You don't get to have influence over politics, but maybe you can stay here, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's like, if shit goes down, it's like, well, your fucking population is gonna get dwindled down first.
we're so stupid. Like, why ought you be able to vote as a first generation immigrant? Like, you just shouldn't. You maybe not even for like 2 generations or 3 generations in. Like, you need to demonstrate to us that you want to be here, that your intent, is good.
Like, you actually believe in America,
right?
So many of these fucking people are just here to be subversives.
Well, and like, this is like something I saw this, and people were raising a bunch of hell about it. A Norwegian tourist is barred from entering the United States after ICE guard finds meme showing JD Vance with a bald head on his phone. And I was like, at first I was like laughing, and I was like, it's a little. And then I was like, you know what? Actually, no. Yeah, fuck that guy. Get him the fuck out of here. Even if that was Joe Biden, I'm like, You know, immigrants need to start having some fucking respect for the country. Like that's the problem. All these immigrants come here, and they literally are just demanding things. They are entitled to all these things because these dumbass progressives just want another vote, and so they'll do anything to they'll capitulate on everything just to get them on their side. And to get them here, and they'll condemn themselves, and they'll virtue signal, and they'll tell you, how bad we are, and we're living on stolen land, and all the stupid tropes, that the leftists go through. And it just emboldens immigrants to come here and be like, well, this isn't even your land. Like, why are we? I agree with Sam Hyde when Sam Hyde is like, yeah, we're not doing that. Like, why you're getting called a slur? Like, fuck you. You're not coming here. Why are you coming here and telling us how to live? Like, you came here because you like the way we do things here. And you're going to come here and then tell us, like, oh, well, you guys are guilty of this and you're guilty of that. And you're on stolen land. You're all this and you're all that. You're all racist. And you should be uncomfortable as an immigrant. You know what I mean? To some degree. Like, if you don't know the language, if you're not familiar with the culture, whatever, like there should be an uncomfortability to it. Like we should normalize telling immigrant, like when you hear people talking in other, you should be like, hey, why don't you fucking speak English? This is America. Like why are we putting up with this shit?
Nobody has the balls to codify the national language.
Right. What is up with that? What is even happening with that?
I don't care if it's Spanish. I don't care if it's English. But put your fucking nuts on the table and say, this is what we speak here.
It has to be. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. What are we doing, man? Like, this garbage.
If they said it's English and Spanish, I wouldn't even care. As long as it's fucking codified.
Yeah. Oh,
because,
look.
You know what I mean? Then people learn 2 languages in school. Maybe there's something about that. I don't really care. I think it should just be English, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, even if they did that, it would be better than what we have now. Because,
yeah.
We get all this bullshit. And then, like, where was I? Dude, I had somebody come and do work at the house the other day. They bring a fucking crew. Nobody speaks English. These guys show up at my house, and they can't even they come and ring the doorbell.
We wouldn't want to live in Mexico.
Yeah.
None of them could speak English. I'm like, hey, good morning. How are you? I can move my car out of I'm trying to start the whole I can move my car out if you need me to. I can park over there. You can park here. How do you want to do it? And they just fucking stare at me, bro. And they start talking in Spanish. I'm like, what the fuck? Don't come and ring the doorbell then.
Yeah. Just fucking get to work, dude. What the fuck?
Just wait for your boss to get here. What the fuck?
Here, let me see. See if I can pull this up.
Like, that should be a part of earning a work permit, right?
Yeah.
Speak fucking English.
Men
if you
and
don't
the
speak
women.
English, have somebody with you that does.
Yeah. Can you see this?
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. I thought this was kind of crazy too. This was actually from last week. We didn't get to go over this.
These people holding up the Mexican flag, but nobody wants to live in Mexico. If we wouldn't want to live in Mexico, then why do the tios, the señores, the men, and the women too? They be working here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They just live in one room sharing it with a bunch of dudes. They send all their money back so they can build houses for their families, and they can't wait. They're just counting down the minutes in a year until when they can actually go back. Even las familias that live here, buying houses over there too. Every Mexican that I know own their houses here. They buy a house in Mexico too. They're building it or they're already bought it. So yes, nobody wants to live in the United States. I was born in the United States and I don't want to live in the United States. The next 5 years, I'm moving back to Mexico. Yes, we do want to live in Mexico. The only thing is that we're just making money here so we can actually go back.
Like,
get out.
Leave. Yeah, just fucking leave, dude. Fuck you. See you later. Like that.
Like, we should not allow that.
If you're saying that, like, I don't care if you're a first generation immigrant or not. Like, you get out of here then. We should just deport you anyways. Like,
the system should encourage people to commit to the American dream. Fully commit. You're all fucking in, or get the fuck out, dude. especially like if you're a first generation immigrant, I don't care if you have citizenship already or not, dude. You can lose that shit at any time. That's where I'm at, dude.
Yeah.
You can lose that shit at any time. Say something woke.
Yeah.
Say something good about some other foreign country. Do some Marxist shit.
Yeah,
Get the
dude.
fuck
It used to
out.
be like, dude, we used to have like some. Yeah, the immigrants used to be afraid, like to get deported and to go home. They used to like assimilate. You know what's funny is that tweet that I shared earlier. I think you liked it or saw it or whatever. But that guy that was shit. He was talking about the JFK or whatever, and he was like the last base president or whatever before something. And I'm like, it's funny because it had to do with immigration, but it was like I was like, well, it's the funny thing is that even though I like JFK a lot, he is part of the problem because he kind of got a little bit of that wokeness in him about when it came to immigration because we were focusing on mainly Western European nations, and we were mostly taking Western European immigrants into the country. Although we were still allowing others, we were focusing on this group, but it was because they assimilated into the culture well. They learned the language, spoke the language, and they contributed a ton to like general society. They would always do well in business or in finance or like STEM fields or wherever. They would go do research for the government. They were, you know what I mean? It's like they were actively assimilating into the culture and trying to make the place better. So we focused on that group, and then for whatever reason, JFK writes his book about a nation of immigrants or whatever, and he's basically sort of condemning that mindset and saying that, well, we need to kind of open it up to everybody. Everybody needs to have a fair shot to come in the country. And it's like, no, the fuck they don't. No, they don't, actually. We need, if these groups of people are assimilating the best to the culture and strengthening the nation in the best ways and providing the most for our nation, that's what we need to focus on. You know what I mean? Like, China doesn't care.
This is where feudalism, monarchies, any kind of autocratic system, fascism, it has a huge leg up
Yeah.
on a more parliamentarian, purely democratic type of system or even ideology, right? Because obviously under those things, the vision's going to be well defined because it only comes from one person, unless you have an utter tyrant who is just changing his vision all the time just to serve his own interests.
Yeah.
A whole other situation. But generally speaking, the advantage of those types of systems, a dictatorship, autocracy, monarchy, whatever, tends to be more streamlined.
Right. I mean, because we can just make sweeping, decisions and just say, hey, actually, you know what? Fucking the border's closed. We're doing a 15-year, 20-year moratorium on all immigration. We're mass deporting Muslims, or Muslims are going to have to go through rigorous kind of like verification and testing and monitoring to even be allowed to be here. Like, they should be so heavily and strictly monitored. Like, they should feel uncomfortable. You are not assimilating. Your intentions are not pure. You are here to bring your Muslim culture here and to subvert the societies and the communities that you live in. You should be sort of restricted to certain areas and not be, just let spread rampant like a fucking contagion or something.
But even better than that, maybe would be to just the governing philosophy be like, okay, you want to come to this country, right? Well, I think of it this way. If I show up to a new job and I just start fucking saying random shit without asking what's going on, without checking in with my boss, and I fucking show up to the job, I've never fucking worked here a day in my life. I'm like the newest guy on the job, whatever. And I just start fucking talking about how things should be done. You know what I mean? I'm going to get fired. Immigration should work the same fucking way. You are coming into this country. This is the history of it. This is how it works. These are the boundaries. Your first generation, you could be a citizen or fucking not. We don't give a shit. If you show us that you're not assimilating or that you're fucking, subversive or some shit, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck your citizenship. Fuck your rights. Get the fuck out of here. We're not even going to deport you back to your country. We're going to fucking send you into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and you can figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, or just anybody, just the highest bidder can take you. You can go take, I'm sure there's some sanctuary states, some progressives in Canada. Maybe they'll take you. If not, I mean, we'll just send you to like El Salvador. You can go to work camps or something. I mean, literally, just
Don't give
buy.
a fuck.
I don't care.
You came to our fucking country. You fucking fall in with what the fuck's going on here, and don't come attacking all this shit that we've worked for like 300 years for.
This might be that clip that I was talking about earlier.
I don't care about what an Indian says.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to have a discussion.
I know, but I haven't
of
seen
what
it in a while.
American is. I'm not interested in hearing somebody else's proposal for what an American is. Everybody knows what an American is. If there's a degree or two of variation between Americans, what an American is, it doesn't matter. Anytime you try to argue in good faith with somebody who wants to steal from you, you try to argue in good faith with somebody who is not going to Iron Man your arguments. You're going to give them every intellectual consideration possible. They're going to give you none. Anytime you even open your mouth to do anything that's not derision, you're losing. You're accepting their proposition that what you know, the same way you know that the sky is blue, what an American is, when you accept that your knowledge of that can be affected by somebody's paragraph, you're already losing. So these people, when they come to you, when you see them, the only thing you should have to say to them is, hey, faggot. That's it. That's all you need to say. You don't need to say anything else. Within your community, within your Discord, within your friend group, whatever, you can have whatever discussion you want.
I'm so here for it, dude. Like we're over.
That's not
that
in
has
the
to be
game
the
plan.
approach.
That's not part of the show. That's not happening.
We don't give a shit.
I wonder if this is.
I'm not saying you need to not think about these things.
Oh yeah, here it is.
Not talk about them with your friends, whatever. But when an outsider comes here, gets in your face, and starts throwing definitions at you, and you got to Google shit, no, we're not doing that. You're getting called a slur. I don't know what you want.
Yeah, I mean it really is that simple. Like that's a big part of why I stopped doing a lot of those panel shows and a lot of stuff like that. I was like, these guys are getting so much attention. Like they're all over the mainstream media. These ideas are being shoved down people's throats through media, entertainment, every possible avenue you could think of. Social media is banning people left and right because this was in the right after 2020 and stuff like that, after COVID, all that stuff. It's like they have all of the media apparatuses and is behind them. Why am I going to go on there and give you whatever ammunition or somebody to argue with or whatever? Like I'm not going to do a panel show. I'm not going to do any. And a lot of like right wingers finally started to get hip to it, and we're just like, Andrew was kind of leading the charge a little bit. It was just like, yeah, we shouldn't go on any of their shows. Why are we giving them content? Like they should come to our shows. We'll do the panel shows here and there. They can come if they want to come argue with us. They can come argue with us here, and give us the attention, give us the content, bring us the audience, whatever little audience some of those have. But it's just like, yeah, why are we doing? There is no discussion. You should come over here and just get called slurs. I mean, and idiots and made fun of. I mean, because when you think about it, that's literally what they're doing to you. It's funny because they'll argue against a position like that. We shouldn't bully people. We shouldn't, belittle people and be mean to people. But you go into these TikTok lives, you go into a lot of these spaces that are like, that is literally all they're there to do. They're not there to have a fucking honest conversation with you. Like I'll even tell people like, because I've been kind of like jumping into the little TikTok spaces. I've been trying to like follow a bunch because I want to maybe do my own little TikTok invasions here and there, and maybe stream them on like Saturdays or something. And so I like following all these people so I can jump in and out of panels whenever I want to, like see them all pop up for me. And I even hear like, you know, right wingers with similar positions to me, and then they're like trying and they're doing the thing. I used to do it too. Like when I first started going onto these panels, I didn't understand what I was going on to. Like they did, and they present it in a different way. Well, we're just trying to have honest conversations. No, you're not. You're looking for someone to just like you're literally just looking to dogpile someone and just beat the shit out of them. Dude, just leave and make your own panel, and let's just bully these idiots out of their positions, because they're doing the same thing.
Create theater.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
and that really is the essence of left wing politics. They're looking for opportunities to create theater. It's not a critical thinking platform.
Dude, you know what? This shit has been pissing me off too. I saw this even early on when Trump first took office, and they were really cracking down on the immigration for like the first couple weeks or whatever. I don't know if I have it in this. I don't think I have it in this bookmark folder or not. But there was a farmer. I think I actually sent you that, and he was like bitching about like, oh my workers are gone. My workers are afraid to come into work. And then I saw videos like this.
It's a ghost town here today at my factory in East LA.
Who the fuck are you to think that you have a right to
scared to come
uppity liberal? Go figure.
Very sad. Very
in LA.
What do you mean it's very sad? What were you paying
all
them?
this work to be done. Nobody here to do it.
Like the idea that you're entitled to just pay people unlivable wages. Like, it's crazy that if you can't operate your business without underpaying people, you don't deserve to be in business. It's really that simple. You deserve to fail as a business. Like, you suck at running a business. You shouldn't be in business. I hope you fail. If you can't pay Americans livable wages, and therefore you are required to hire illegal immigrants and pay them under the table, you know, $6 an hour, you fucking suck, and you're part of the problem.
You know what's even more insane about this is somebody like her will also then turn around and say that we need something like UBI because nobody can earn a living wage. Well, why can't anybody earn a living wage? Because nobody can get a fucking job because you're paying this person from Narnia an unlivable wage and cutting out the American worker.
Right, and then these people do the same thing. They pull this. They have the same rhetoric that this stupid fucking Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy tried to pull whenever this election was going when we were going like leading up to the election, and they're like, oh well, there's just not enough workers, and it's like, why? Why are there not enough American workers? There's not enough American workers, or you're not actually paying them enough, and so therefore they're not applying or they're not taking the jobs, because that's two different things. And Elon Musk, you know, I think you know too about all the H-1B shit that was going on, you know, and the way they stack it up, you know, that if you list a job for $6 an hour picking fucking strawberries, nobody's gonna come fucking do that. You know what I mean? You list a job that's supposed to pay $100,000, 6 figures out of college, and just like we talked about earlier, you have these students incurring massive amounts of debt, $250,000 worth of student loans, $250,000 coming out of college, and then you're going to pay. You list a job for $66,000 that's supposed to pay $100,000. Of course, they're going to ignore that. Why the fuck would they take that job? Why ought American citizens pile on top of each other, have to have roommates for their entire fucking life, and get paid, you know, below what the average salary is for a job, just so that you can trim a little bit of fat, and you can give a little bit more profits to your investors. Like, fuck that, dude. And the companies are making loads of money anyways. If you really wanted to cut some fat, I mean, just do, you know what I mean? Elon Musk did it too. That's the crazy thing about that. All these social media companies did it. They all trimmed a bunch of fat. As soon as Elon Musk fired all those people, all the other ones followed suit. Yep. They all did it behind closed doors. They fired a ton of people. They cut a bunch of fat out. Cut out all these DEI programs. Do just like what Doge is doing. Actually go into your company and look at where you can make cuts. You don't have to underpay people. You don't have to tell Americans that basically they have to live, slum, lifestyles piled on top of each other, 10, 15 people to a fucking house, just so that they can be in so they can have a job. Like, if you don't do this, then you're not going to have a job. Well, fuck you, dude. Burn your fucking company down.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Also, with all this shit, dude, just going back to what Sam Hyde said and codifying all this stuff, whatever. When you get a fucking Zohran Mabdani, right? Who's in on it? The whole fucking Marxist community that grew up in, right?
Yeah.
Everybody fucking parents want to be around. Because, again, that school they sent him to was a progressive school. I think it's a private school, right? Well, his parents sent him there, and they sent him there for a reason. Let me just double check that. Oh, I gotta go back to the other one.
Let me see if I can play it.
But where was that? Where did okay.
Yeah, this is crazy too. There's so many of these.
Bro. I just want to confirm. Yeah, it's a private school, dude. It's a private school. That means his parents sent him there. All right. So I'm building a point. The whole community, starting with his parents and their immediate stateside family, right? Anybody that was close to them, they had a role in making this guy. You see what I'm saying? And this is what I'm saying, dude. These types of subversives, like when they create a little demon like this who is antithetical to everything that America has ever fucking been, in every way, by the way. Like, I don't like Palestine either, but that's definitely not enough to get me to vote for a fucking Muslim Marxist. The complete antithesis to America, right?
Right.
Like, when you get people like this that try to come here and do this and be subversive in this way, they should hit a wall. It should cost them everything, dude.
Yeah.
That's what it's got to be more than just calling them a slur. That's why we codify it. We penalize it. And there's freedom of speech things that we have to worry about too. But that's for citizens. That's for non-subversive people who are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I mean, dude.
We're talking about immigration. We're talking about the people that we're going to assimilate into this culture that are going to be the future, and define whether America exists as this sort of beacon of freedom and all these values that we think are so important that inform all these decisions to try and bring immigrants here and all this. But it's like, you have to be able to survive.
Right.
If you're going to help people. You have to be able to help yourself before you help others. You can't fucking help yourself if you give the country over to antithetical values because you're too woke, right? So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's got to be set up to where when people try this fucking subversive shit, they hit a wall and that fucking wall crushes them. And if they die because of it, it doesn't fucking matter, dude.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like you're saying, we have to protect the nation first. I mean, that is the state's purpose. That is literally why we created the state. I mean, we created you state. We made you so you could protect us. Like, if you're just inviting the world in, and you're just inviting the danger in, and you're just, catalyzing our, demise. Like, well, then what the fuck is the point?
It makes me wonder, what do these elitist people that supposedly run everything, and they're doing all these behind closed doors meetings, if they're behind all of this, what do they think is going to be the outcome for them that benefits them? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's what I try to figure out. I don't.
What do you get out of converting the entire planet to Islam? Because they got to have this data. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not. They're not stupid. They can math, so they can see what's happening. So what does it do for them to convert the entire planet to Islam, or the entire Western world? Like, what do they think they're going to gain? Do they think that Islamic people are just easier to control, so they can have a really consolidated position?
That's what it seems like. But I still don't know how you. I mean, I don't know how you pull that off.
That can flip on them, and it probably will within a generation or two, even if they accomplish that. And they maybe the first generation that accomplishes this experiences sort of this peak.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, who is defending? Because you still have to figure out Russia and China. Russia and China are keeping a pretty good handle on their demographics for the most part. Like, I know that video says something about like Muslims in Russia, but that's actually, I think, a lot of converts too. So there's actually like, it's like Orthodox Christianity and then Islam in Russia. It's like a pretty big split. So they're not foreigners coming in necessarily. There was, I think, and I think Russia squashed a bunch of that. So then what? We're just like selling out the position. Like, I don't, like, the U.S. has such a arsenal of weapons. Like, what are we doing? Like, we're turning that arsenal over to Muslims. Like, are we fucking retarded or something? Like, I don't get it.
I think a lot of these people might believe that once the Muslims come over and they get a taste of liberalism and freedom, and again, this is like the liberal delusion, right? It's like, we're the intellectuals, we're the elites because we're liberals,
stupid,
right? And they will conform because they have to. This is the superior progressive religion as opposed to the regressive religion. You know what I mean? They see themselves in a Gnostic sense, even though they'll claim to be atheist.
And
they really believe that people will assimilate because it is the clear winner.
That's what's funny too, is that they think that they will attack Christianity before they attacked Christianity before they, will even consider attacking, Muslim or an Islam. Yeah. But Christianity is what has allowed you to even come up with all this bullshit to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, it was a Christian nation. Most of the, most developed nations are all Christian nations or have Christian foundations. And all of those who are lacking that, are not, or, you know what I mean, are behind. And it's like, so we're taking the third world mentality, bringing it here and kicking out the religion, the religious foundation that got us here. And I don't know what, I don't know what they're expecting out of it. Like, it's going to be such a disaster.
I think they think that they'll assimilate, and they're underestimating.
They'll just win them over with their ideas.
Entrenchment and the radicalization of people from the Islamic faith, especially like people who are here in the first generation. I know, like there was a couple really religious people who ended up going to the same school as us, right? And you know, by the time we graduated, I think we were in the same class. We were either in the same class or we were like a year apart. I think I had a class with one of these people. Anyway, by the time I graduated, these people were like fucking everybody and doing drugs and like completely threw it behind. And I think that's what liberals think will happen with everybody.
Yeah.
And I don't know where these people are now, if they're still living like that, if they're happy, if they're dead or alive. I don't know. Or if they, you know, reverted back in some way to their roots and rediscovered their religion. I don't really know, but I do know that they threw their religion aside by the end of high school. And I think it probably has a little bit more to do with like the structure of it and the form of it, like super authoritarian, rigid, sort of ritualistic, like I remember when they first got to school, they showed up wearing like dresses and head coverings, and they completely threw that aside. And I think that's what liberals think will happen with everybody. And I think that's what they hope will happen with everybody because they see themselves as the subversives, and then they'll be able, it's just like with illegal immigration. They'll be able to convert these people because they'll be able to seduce them with all this freedom
Yeah.
and pleasure. And I think they're underestimating Islam in general because maybe they will get a couple. But most of these people are breeding, and the indoctrination is going to be strong from the older generations because they know what they're doing. They
Right.
know what they're up against. They understand the assignment.
Well, and that's the thing, that even the ones that that may step away from their religion, they're still going to have a soft spot for it. Because their parents likely are still, or their sisters or brothers or whatever. Like you're saying, they're breeding huge families. So even if they were to leave Islam, they would likely still, love their family, be in touch with their families, whatever. So if a Muslim like majority arises from it, they wouldn't care either. They also wouldn't care. So it's like they might not be in the movement, so to speak, trying to actively, like spread Islam anymore, but they're also not going to do anything to stop it. They're just going to be like, nah, okay. This is what I think about this mayor. I mean, it's just like, even if he's not explicitly Islamic, it's like he's not going to do anything to stop it. He's not mad that probably all, 9%, the million of those Muslims in New York City are going to vote for him. I doubt he's, upset at that. He's gonna cater to that base. I've got to use the bathroom real quick. You can just
Familiar to him, and I was also gonna say that this is like manifest destiny for the Muslim world. That's the other thing. The whole conquest of the West is more like the manifest destiny moment for the Muslim world because they see this as basically unconquered territory, and they also see the fact that they can do it with breeding and the Fabian strategy. What has he got pulled up here? I can read a little bit more of this stuff about Mamdani, who went to that, his early education was at the Bank School for Children in Manhattan, which is a private progressive school. So that's his formative years, and then he went to a science school, and then he went to college for Africana studies. And then when you read into it, it's just a bunch of woke bullshit. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. So
I was kind of listening
when
a little bit on my phone. You were talking about. You were reading some more of that.
Yeah, I read a little bit more of it, but what I said right when you left also was that the way Muslims see this migration phase, right?
Yeah.
This is their manifest destiny moment.
Yeah, I did hear that. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that.
But that is so important because that gave so much energy and motivation to early American settlers, the American explorers. It's an incredibly motivating, powerful energy, right? And Americans, you experience this in life all the time, right? I've experienced this so many times. I'm experiencing it even recently, where it's like you go through these periods, you're really motivated, you got your sights set on this milestone, right? On a smaller scale, on an individual scale. But in their case, it's like manifest destiny and the energy that drives you as you're working towards that goal and that purpose. Especially if it's something that you've never accomplished before.
Yeah.
Man, you can fucking stay up all night. You can work all day. You don't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Let's get it done. Okay. But then when you get there, it's like, well, fuck, I did it. What do I do now?
Yeah.
That's what America is.
Yep, that's exactly where we're at.
And these motherfuckers are like, dude, we don't need to fucking sleep. We need to fuck and migrate.
Well, and it's even worse than that because there's half of the population that kind of like got there and then realized like, oh, we got a really good thing going. Like we need to kind of like keep that, and we need to like set more, you know what I mean, more goals to knock down and blah blah blah. And then there's the other like half that's like the progressives now that are like, actually, we deserve to be replaced. Like, we literally deserve to be replaced.
Yeah.
And we're like colonizers. We're like settlers. We like owe all this. It's like, dude, they have to be excised like a fucking tumor. Like the same way we would watch. That's why I'm not against like a fascist sort of like more authoritarian government. Like, it's so funny to hear people talk about Trump and be like, he's a fascist. That's a big topic. That's a big one that goes all over the little TikTok panels and stuff. They have these little like squares, and it'll be like, Trump is a fascist. And it's like, change my mind kind of deal. I'm just like, I wish he's not, dude. He's like a classical liberal. He's literally not like we want him to be. Like, some of us are just like, please lay the fucking hammer down, dude. Like, get this shit under control. Yeah. And he's just not, dude. Like, he's doing some things, but he's like other stuff. I don't even know what to think about him right now, especially after like all the war stuff, like the bombings in Iran, all that stuff is just kind of like, I'm not sure, man. Which honestly, I don't know if we'll even get to, because
it's gonna be a long 4 years.
It's already like 11 too, so there was a couple of these. We'll just riffing on immigration and I guess a lot more yapping to do there than I thought. Oh yeah, I think this is a good one, a good little snippet of a conversation.
I wouldn't trust you. I hate you as well. You're a liar. I wouldn't trust you and I have to hate you as well.
So the point is, you won't have a conversation with me because I'm a Christian.
No, I won't believe anything you say because you're a liar. And you're a Christian as well. I hate you for the sake of Allah.
You hate me for the sake of Allah.
I hate you for the sake of Allah.
All right.
I hate you for the sake of Allah. Every Christian, I hate you all for the sake of Allah. Any Jew, any Christian, I hate you all for the sake of Allah.
He hates me for the sake of Allah.
You hate these bastards and the other bastards as well.
Would you kill me if you get a chance?
If we're in war, I would chop your head off.
Yeah, Allah guide you.
If we're fighting in war, am I supposed to let him kill me? I said if we are.
No, let's ask this again. Do you hate me?
Yes, I hate you for the sake of Allah.
Who taught you to hate me?
Islam did.
Like, it's crazy, dude. And that, like, you know, they're letting they're not supposed to let the cat out of the bag, but when they get riled up, that's what they all get like that. Like, I've seen Jay Dyer and other people like debate these guys, and when they get fired up like that, yeah, they say stuff like they let the mask slip a little bit. You know what I mean? They don't. They're not here on friendly terms. Like they're not here to just. Oh, I'm just here to make a living and get by and pursue the American dream. No, you're still speaking Arabic. I can't understand you when you go out in public. Like, if you're here for 20 years, 15 years, whatever, you can't speak English. You've been here your whole life. You've raised, like, 18-year-old kids. Your kids are grown and off to college. And you still can't speak English. Like, at least just to carry on a company. Like, hey, I'm coming in to get, an oil change or whatever it is, and I can't understand what you're saying. You should be fucking deported. It's getting ridiculous.
I don't know exactly when the moment is that antinatalism crept in, because it doesn't just take one form.
So bad, dude.
Birth control, there's dinking, there's
the abortion stuff. I mean,
there's there's also things like, and you gotta wonder how much of it is subversive, right?
I think
because the Duggars,
80% of it is subversive.
Well, think about
starting
like
to think
Duggars,
that,
right? Who started the television show about the Duggars and why? Why do we even know about these people? That whole phenomenon from like the 80s and 90s of these big church organizations. I can't remember what that. I'm gonna try to find it again.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that is kind of crazy. And I see all over TikTok, like, I've noticed there's a big like divide, and it's funny because TikTok is directed towards women. And I'll see like a lot of pro-natalist content, like a lot of like stay-at-home mother type content, and then equally I'll just see like randomly there was a big trend going around recently, and it's like you put abortion is not murder, it's healthcare or something like that, and then you put like 5 more pictures, and it's like abortion period is period not period health whatever, and it's like it's healthcare, like, and it's so fucking weird. Like, it seems so synthetic and manufactured.
And then, so going back to the Duggars, who started covering them and the Institute of Basic Life Principles? Because this is a huge family, right? That's what they do. They procreate. They had like 12 kids or some shit. And they got a reality TV show. That's why we all know who the Duggars are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Institute of Basic Life Principles was its own little thing, but then they got elevated in that church or organization run by Bill Gothard. And they had this whole reality TV show. They covered them for, like a decade or more, it seemed like. And the coverage of that show eventually turned into like this expose of big families, and an antinatalism campaign where they sort of had this message of breeding is a radical religious fundamentalist notion that you should avoid. And they're using this extreme example, which is, partially true. But they're doing it to discourage breeding, right? And the result of that is a bunch of people who think that they shouldn't have kids at all, or they should only have one kid, and then you get this rise in the dual income, no kids.
Yeah.
Which is also
those people need to be fucking punished, dude. We need state-funded propaganda, pro-natalist propaganda, and breeding programs. Like, we need to encourage two-parent household families that are having children, like similar to what Poland's doing. Like, we need to be doing like loan forgiveness like home loan forgiveness. We need to be like completely. If you have like 8 kids, they should just forget. Dude, you should just get your house. Like you just get a house and like a couple acres, dude. If you have 8, like the state's gonna get their money back in taxes from your whole family. Like the state should literally just like buy you a house. They should have like, forgiving, like partial forgiveness of loans on like car purchases or something. Like you should get all kinds of extra benefits, but it should specifically be for 2-parent households staying together, staying married, and as a family unit. It shouldn't just be, some single mom having 8 kids by 7 different baby mamas or baby daddies,
but the
whatever.
Deal is, that's the thing. The deal is you got to be a fucking 2-parent household, and your kids got to grow up and fucking be somebody because you were there for them. You know what I mean? Not some bullshit.
Yeah, and we can leave the the other stuff alone to a degree, but like if either that or like you can participate maybe in like a state program where I don't know, maybe you join a house with a couple other moms or single parents or whatever, maybe single fathers and single moms or whatever, and you kind of just like maybe they put them all in a fucking apartment complex together or something. Give them fucking jobs and make sure the kids are like well taken care of and heavily indoctrinated by the state, like to be productive citizens of society and to love their country. Like
that would be a good way to solve the problem and keep the American dream alive. From the standpoint of preserving the state that we have now.
Yeah.
But it also comes back to that stuff. That we're talking about in the beginning in that Peter Thiel email that was, I don't know if it leaked or whatever, leaked, but where he talks about, the way that institutions, financial institutions, educational institutions, government institutions are basically disenfranchising people with bad economic policy, make education being too expensive. People have to take out loans, jobs going to illegal immigrants, the economy, in essence, disincentivizing people from wanting to participate in the capitalist economy and losing faith in it because it's all Keynesianized. We print money, people lose purchasing power every day. We load people up with debt, and they're paralyzed with debt by the time they get out of college. They can't do anything. They can't get a car that they want. They can't get a house because they're loaded up with debt. Their debt to income ratio is cooked before they even get out of college. So, it comes back to that too, because that's part of the reason. That is part of the antinatalism agenda. Loading people up with debt so they won't even fucking think about having kids.
Is this
got too many to pay already?
Is this the email you're talking about?
Yeah. This is it.
Crazy. I didn't even see this. That's crazy.
This is good. This is more than what I had. It was only like the first page.
Yeah, I'll just read it. See if I can read.
Basically, where all the meat is.
That's where everything is.
For me, it was. I mean, there's obviously more, but
there are many more themes that could be developed here. Let me make a few quick points right now. I certainly would not suggest that our policy should be to embrace millennial attitudes unreflectively. I would be the last person to advocate for socialism, but when 70% of millennials say they are pro-socialist, we need to do better than simply dismiss them by saying they are stupid or entitled or brainwashed. We should try and understand why. And from the perspective of a broken generation compact, there seems to be a pretty straightforward answer to me, namely that when one has too much student debt or if housing is too unaffordable, then one will have negative capital for a long time and or find it very hard to start accumulating capital in the form of real estate. And if one has no stake in the capitalist system, then one may well turn against it. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's what, even me and Andrew were have debated before, like together. I think is like, well, when we did like a Christian nationalism debate. What's up, Wolf? And it was like, oh shit, how did we got into like stakeholder democracy or something like that? And we were just talking about like voting or something like that, and we're like, yeah, well, why should people who have no stake in the system be able to vote? That's exactly why people like that should not be able to vote. I would argue, like, actually, yeah, we should dismiss those people, like, to some degree. I get what he's saying, like, there's a nuanced position, but in regards to that, like, do you get a say in how the nation works, how the nation functions? No, because of this last bit right here. Like, if you have no stake in the system, then it's highly likely you could turn against it.
Yeah. Yep. And that's basically, part of my point is just illustrating that also factors into the antinatalist and the population decline.
Yeah. Yeah, we need pro-natalist content, dude.
Yep.
You got to get your wife on TikTok, dude, and start making pro-natalist content.
I know, it just
something mine's doing.
Like that, you start doing stuff like that, and then it's like all of a sudden your kids end up online. That's what we don't like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that either, but I mean, sorry, a little bit of it's okay while they're younger. And I'm not gonna. We probably won't carry on when they get older. Like, you know what I mean? To some degree, but
I can find a way to like blur just enough to where they can't identify them and use their images for something,
creepy, nefarious.
Yeah.
It's the other thing, dude. That's why we need a strong state. We just need to execute those people.
No, I'm down with that, dude. Like,
all of them, dude.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I like, that's one of the arguments for like an ANCAP society that I like is that there's no moral authority,
dude.
Made up of these random people from all over the political spectrum. It's like, if you fuck around with my kid and I shoot you, then that's just it. You fucked up. You should have thought more, and nobody cares. Goodbye.
Look at this shit, dude. A camel herder from Qatar came to the UK for free NHS medical treatment for a heart condition.
Bullshit,
while here, he dragged a woman into the hospital toilets and sexually assaulted her. And his female said that, he had never left Qatar. He would have had minimal experience engaging with women outside of a family context. The only woman he would have had meaningful contact with was his mother. Like, I don't care. Like, go.
How's that my problem?
You're gonna go to a labor camp or something. Like, I don't even know what to. Yeah, it's not. I was seeing a lot of this with even with the immigration and stuff. Like, they're like, well, how do they know our laws if they're not like assimilating or if they're not like? I'm like, yeah, that's the fucking point, dude.
Is ignorance of law? Is ignorance of the law an excuse for any of us?
Right.
That's the whole fucking point. Plus,
people
like, okay,
insane.
In a situation like this is where I'm at with all this, especially after all this fucking insane shit with Carmelo Anthony and watching that insane guy that's his like public advocate, especially after that shit, because that is way more extreme than even the stuff that radicalized me. Like on stuff like this. It's like when I see shit like that, I'm just like, okay, here's what we can do. Since you've got this sob story for him and how the only contact was his mother. You, him, and his mom can go to the fucking dungeon together.
Yeah, dude. I mean, see you later, dude.
You want to fucking cry me a fucking sob story about a rapist, then you can go down there in the dungeon with him. Don't give a fuck, dude. Get these people out of my sight, bro.
They gotta go, dude. They got to go.
fucking
but it's
Sneeko,
looking like
dude.
he
What
won
a
the
hypocrite.
mayoral race in New York City. We were all over every
Does he
borough
even
today,
know?
seeing people super excited to
Does
go
he
out
have
and vote.
any
I
economical
supported him
stances at
because
all?
he's the only non-Zionist candidate on that stage.
Who,
I thought he
Sneeko?
was
He's an
thoughtful,
idiot, dude.
people are
He doesn't
energetic,
know shit about the
people are
economy, no.
Zionism, and I'm excited to see what he's got. I'm not a socialist
He's
myself.
just a cultural
I want
phenomenon.
everyone to be a
If
communist
that.
and free stuff, but I think he has some cool ideas. Hopefully he can do the best, man. And
That's what makes me think that, like, that was actually a big, like, red flag to me, because I'm like, Sneako's a Muslim.
Yeah,
and he was just hanging out with Eric Adams. And then now Zoran or whatever, Mandami wins, and he's just like, congratulations, dude. Like, yeah, dude, good job. I support it.
I'll say this about Sneeko. He's not shit, dude. He's nothing. He doesn't believe any of the shit. The things he's doubled down on the hardest, I bet he doesn't even fucking believe them. It's all fleeting.
I think he's in, though. I think he's got a lot of money and a lot of backing from Muslims, and I don't think there's any way out now. I think he's actually afraid to leave now.
But that's the only reason why.
Right.
Because of that money. He's taking orders now because it benefits him. When he sat down with that fucking Muslim cleric and he did that interview, that guy fucking obliterated him. All right. So think about you as an individual going out telling the fucking world that you are a Muslim. You're Jewish now. You're whatever. You're gonna try and take this identity on, right? Don't you need to fucking know something about it?
Yeah.
He sits down with this expert that's fucking been practicing Islam and leading and doing it his whole life, and he has no idea what he's in store for. This guy's like a radical, dude. He's like that guy is entrenched. He's been practicing for probably 70, 80 years, and then he comes to this guy and he looks like a fucking retard. In terms of like what he knows about Islam and where he's at with it. And the guy basically tells him, "You're a kafir."
Right, yeah.
You're fucking worthless to me. Get out of my house.
Yeah.
What? So Sneeko, you didn't know that about Islam? You didn't know
He's
that
a
about
fucking idiot. Yeah.
And you're so you haven't.
No, he didn't. He really thinks that, like, because he's had these other, like, scholars and debaters on and stuff like that. And then they tried to organize something with I think actually Andrew, and then also with like Jay Dyer, and it didn't happen, dude. Like they had like one or two. They basically find out that like Jay Dyer can defend all these positions and can destroy all these positions inside and out, and then Sneeko never does anything else with them again.
Sneeko can't.
Because then he's bringing because then he's gonna be bringing these people on who are like highly regarded in Islam as like these scholars and these like they're the current prophets of the time essentially, and they're gonna bring them on and they're gonna get obliterated in front of 1 million people. So he stopped organizing anything like that, like almost immediately too. It's kind of funny. It was like right when he got in, he was like real gung ho about it. And he's like, yeah, these guys are really sharp and intelligent. They know what they have all the answers, and then he brought them on like one or two streams, and he's like, okay, never mind. Never doing that again.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But he's somebody, especially now, it's like he's not the type of person, and I think Zoran Mamdani is like this as well, but he's way more charismatic, and he actually has a little bit, well, not a lot of it of a progressive background, but his personality type, his archetype is like pure charisma. Sneeko is not as charismatic as Mamdani, so that's not a good comparison in that category. But these are two people to me who ultimately what they're really doing is they're trying to suss out where that space is, where they can fall into that vacuum.
Yeah.
And they're just going to let that guide them. So they're not really like critical thinkers, right? They're more like they're in the herd, but they might end up performing a leadership role, but they're still in the herd.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they'd be on the enlisted side, not the officer side.
Right.
They
Yeah.
might be LPO or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let's try to do let's try to see what the hell happened with Liver King, and then we'll call it a night because we've been going for a minute.
I don't really know anything about that. Like I don't really know.
I was just bookmarking shit, so I don't even really know either. So we'll find out together, kind of deal.
It started with Joe Rogan, though. It started with Joe Rogan and steroids. I saw some shit about meth, and maybe he's doing meth.
Well,
I don't know.
And I don't know if Joe said something on his show, but I know way back he did.
Yeah, so basically Joe Rogan, I think, talked about how he potentially used steroids at some point.
Well, that was a long time ago, right? Or that it's been a while. Because I know that happened at one point, and then it basically was confirmed that yes, he was doing steroids. And then now he's been kind of on like his little journey, his kind of like comeback journey, saying like, oh, he's not doing steroids anymore. This has been over like a couple of years. Like a couple of years ago, Liver King got exposed for like taking steroids. So let's see if this says anything. But basically, from what I got was that. Hold on, let me pause. What I got was that he just was like schizo posting, making random videos and talking about how he was gonna go like get Joe Rogan or try to fight him or something like that.
Yeah. And these items are for you?
I wouldn't take that. Or anything and everything. Because Joe Rogan, we don't have to make videos to pretend anymore. All of this is happening. We're coming to you. I've challenged you man to man to a fight. Honorable. And we don't have to pretend or make any videos. The world is watching. They'll make the videos for us. And you don't have to hold a camera. You can hold the hand of somebody that you love, because what
Somebody
happens
pointed
next to
out
you, you're
his
going to need to
pupils.
remember that feeling. You're going to need something more than what you did.
What the fuck, dude?
I have my family to
Look
fight
at his
for.
pupils.
And then I'll die for him. You know that. And you're a black belt, but
they're uneven.
Never come
Holy shit, dude!
Something like this, willing to die, hoping that you'll choke me out. I pray to God, because that's a dream come true. It feels good. And then the limbs, I'm fighting for my family. So limb. Go ahead. But then you have to contend with something else. And I weigh 177 pounds.
I hear his pupils
Actual
uneven.
savage. And so at first you're like, fuck that guy. And right when you all of a sudden he did.
What the fuck, dude?
Before this, you're saying, I'm gonna choke that motherfucker, that piece of fucking shit. I'm gonna choke him out. That's what warriors do. You and Andrew Tate are good warriors. But you're actually better than that real tension we have. Comedy that you do is good and true. We have real tension.
What the fuck is he talking about?
But what I see in you,
I know,
is comedy is good and true. Touch points. Well, people laugh if we don't make fun of them at their expense. They laugh. You should all make fun of me. You should all make fun of me at my expense. Trust me, that it still works, and then you should get paid for it. And let's go. Because we're leaving. We're going to Austin. What was my very last point?
That we're gonna kick Joe Rogan's ass?
The real G said it. Oh, it's my speech. Justin Fitz.
What the fuck, dude? That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, damn, son. That's kind of crazy, dude. What is even happening?
His wife thought that she was getting an F-150, dude. She got a fucking Nissan.
Damn, dude. Feels bad, dude. You got a Nissan Altima. Oh, you know what? This is some other internet. This was in my internet drama folder just because of how fucking retarded it was. I don't know if you saw this or not. This is unbelievable. Totally sort of off topic, but a little relevant.
Has unique issues. Here's the one piece of advice I'll give you, okay? If you're joining the IDF, okay? Leave your fucking cell phone at home and stop taking stupid fucking videos, okay? Because everybody's fucking you with them, okay? And if you see...
Okay.
Oh my God. This is
Okay,
so
okay.
gross.
Wear a dress and you think it's funny, just don't fucking take a fucking video picture of it, okay? Jesus.
Jesus.
Like, don't stop doing the war crimes. Just don't film yourself doing the war crimes. Like, these people are crazy. I can't believe it. I don't know if I had any. I don't know if I had any more Liver King nonsense.
There's more.
Yeah, I just don't know if I had any in here.
Houston.
I don't even know what day it is. Starts today. I don't even know what day it is. But it's starting, and I'm not gonna go to sleep, and I am gonna sleep. I'm gonna rest, but right now I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight for my family, for what's right, and I'm not gonna stop. And I'm gonna fight until oh, there's a cockroach right there. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Yeah. Oh, there you little cockroach friend. Yeah. Oh, my friend. Do y'all see him? Yeah. Oh, come here, little cockroach.
What the fuck, dude?
But it's starting.
Why, bro? That's crazy, dude.
I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, I don't know either. I didn't know it's that bad, dude. Because I think most of this stuff, I don't think Joe Rogan said anything recently. I think this has just been a while. And I think eventually he just kind of like collapsed in on himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, which is crazy, dude. Like, it took you 2 years to respond to this criticism.
Well, no, that's the thing. Like, he responded to it basically right away. And at first it was like, no, I'm not on steroids. It's crazy. Like, blah, 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 whatever. No, what the fuck? And this guy, More Plates, More Dates, did like a video on him. And he's like a guy, he used to be on steroids. He's like in the lifting, whatever. And he was like, yeah, for sure. He's on him like 100%. And he did, because he does like a real in-depth like breakdown. He understands the chemicals, like how your body looks and from different things. And he's like, yeah, no, for sure he's on them. So then after that happened, it was like he was taking too much heat basically. So then he was like, okay, yeah, I'm on them. But I'm going to change. I'm going to do better. I'm going to like get off of them or whatever. Because his whole shtick was like natural living lifestyle, whatever, eating liver every day and eating bull testicles and stuff like that. So it's kind of shitty, like, you know, for young guys to expect that they're going to look like you if they just go eat a bunch of bull testicles and beef liver and shit, and then they're not. So anyway, so he did kind of like fix it, but then I guess
$25 million lawsuit by his followers, but then they dropped it.
yeah, it was like people that were in his like little man club or whatever or something like this, I think.
Jesus Christ.
So, because he was selling like a lifestyle essentially, like he was selling even like product too, like he was like doing supplements or whatever, what is it called? Ancestral living, whatever.
Ancestral thing, and then the barbarian.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah, I've seen that stuff before, and it's so interesting because he made money. Like he
He had to with the amount of gear he was. He said he was spending something like $11,000 a month on gear for himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was definitely making money. So, but yeah, so he kind of came clean about everything, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to do it anymore. You know, whatever. We're going to go natty for real." And then, but
he can't, dude.
He can't. Well, yeah, and so he was like posting on Instagram stuff, and then everybody was just constantly calling him out, like, "Well, no, you're not." Like they were like, well, "You look the same. Like you look fucking just completely jacked and ripped, and like your vein, you know what I mean? You have like the varicose veins like sticking out of your arm and shit. Like looks like a coiled up snake. Like And that's the other thing. Joe Rogan is on steroids. Like, he even said he's like lightly. He's on like a regimen or like a cycle. He's just honest about it. He doesn't try to pretend that he's natural. That's where the danger comes. So it's like he didn't even have to get off the gear. He could have just been like, okay, well, I still back my supplements. Like, I still back like this lifestyle. I've been on gear for like so long. Whatever. I'm going to probably continue to do my cycle. Whatever. Like, I just don't understand. I guess it was a big part of his brand that he was supposedly, natty, but you can still promote those things. You can still promote being natural. You can still promote, like, eating from the land and all the things that he was promoting without, necessarily being 100% in it. I mean, you just be honest that you're on gears. Yeah, I'm fucking 40. I've been on it for such a long time. It's probably going to wreck my body if I stop. And that's just probably what's happening, like mentally, physically and mentally, something has fucking happened, and it's like broken his brain.
Did you see the pupils for yourself yet?
Yeah.
Like, they're...
I like full screened it so I could see it better. That was crazy.
Somebody was saying on or X earlier that's indicative of drug use.
Yeah, for sure. The mismatch pupils is crazy. Yeah. I don't think there's any other way except to be like fucking twacked out of your mind on something.
Because he's fucked up in the mind and he thinks all of us need to pay, right? I'm going to show you here on the screen something we missed. Look at that fucked up box, okay? I'm going to slow down this footage after I play it one time. Now look at it slowed down and look closely what's in that fucking box. It's a gun on top of cash, like he thinks he's in the fucking mob. I don't know what he was going to do with this fucking cash. But he took that box, okay? He says it's a present, a gift for Joe Rogan, and he takes it with him to Austin, Texas while he's in the fucking hotel because he's fucked up.
That's kind of crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, and I thought it was, at first, I thought it was like a publicity stunt because he did do something a little while back where he was like talking smack about, what's his name? Jake Paul or something like this. Fight you. Like boxing in the gym, but
she seems enraged.
yeah, I was saying, I don't know if you know already, but he did like some weird thing a while back. I thought it was just a publicity stunt at first because a while back he was talking smack about like Jake Paul or something, like saying he was going to fight him or something.
Christ.
I don't get it though. Like, he's a Netflix star. Like, he had a movie made about him. I think after all that came out is when they made a movie about it or something. So like, he's still making tons of money. Like, fentanyl can
cause it, cocaine, amphetamines, methamphetamine can cause it.
Her voice kind of high, isn't it? She seems a little bit emotional. She seems enraged about, but I'm scared. I have PTSD. I went to a Polish prison recently, and now I'm kind of scared about going to jail when I'm around my family because then I can't do what I do. What a man does, then you can no longer protect your family when you're in jail. That happened in Poland. I don't want that to happen again, so I just look over the
What?
I say, hey, Officer Garza, you see how she's being? Metallica's awesome. This is really good. Our disposition seems pretty good, too. Have I done anything illegal? Could you let me know if I'm going to or if I do? If it seems like I'm along that continuum, has that happened? No. But you have to compromise, he says. You got to compromise. I said, okay, cool. What's a compromise? So he says, give her the 2 bracelets. So how would that be a compromise? That's what she wants. That's not what I want. I said, how about I give her one? I'll give her one of the bracelets that I rightfully got. And what didn't work what ends up working is true, good and true.
It just cut out.
I said,
I was like, what?
up until this fight week. Fuck you, Joe Rogan week. All week. Joe Rogan versus Liver King. All week. Light it up. Don't need to sleep much. Booyah. It's time where we can just turn it off, relax, heal, be warm, drain. That's good too. I've done anything illegal.
What the fuck?
Certain I haven't. But if I have, somebody should tell Joe Rogan. Just invite me on the podcast. We can have mini fights this week. We can start.
What the fuck, dude?
Fight of the minds. I challenge you today, Joe Rogan.
What the fuck, dude? God.
He's on some other he's on some kind of weird. I don't even know, man. Some unhinged, esoteric.
Yeah, he's on some weird shit, dude. That's crazy, dude. God, dude, the rise and fall, dude. Somebody's making it right now on you know what I mean? One of these YouTube, documentaries guys or whatever.
And he's such a badass too. Like he's a
Yeah, it is badass. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like it's not like I don't know what he think. Like he just thinks like he just fell off. Like and everybody's making fun of him or something. Like stop reading the comments, dude. Like
he got into some really interesting sort of niche interpretation of law of attraction stuff.
yeah, I know he's into that
Not
shit. You
bad.
can tell from the way he talks.
But it mixed with all this other stuff, and then I think then he got on drugs. Like he's on some kind of shit like coke or methamphetamine or something. That's why his pupils are doing that.
Well, I think he's a simulation guy too. I think he said something. I think
Simulation theory guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I've heard him say something about that
It could
before.
also, if he's taking anabolic steroids,
Gonna
when he's
exacerbate all
off of
that
them,
shit.
or he's been using them for a long time, which he said that he was, it could have made his pupils uneven. So
Yeah, then
whatever
there
it
was
is,
this
though,
one.
I've been watching his health for a long time, even in his younger days, 5-6 years ago, even. But 30s, his
Yeah, like
skin
it's
is
still
too red. It
Yeah.
looks like he drinks too much.
Well, what's his name did a whole breakdown on all that shit. More plates, more dates. Probably something I watch again.
Leaked emails, blood test
Saving
results.
this for my
Yes.
myself. But yeah, oh yeah, that's right. That's what happened. It was undeniable because what happened was way back in the day. So more plates, more dates also gives advice to people who are trying to start, to do cycles and stuff like that. Because he doesn't want people to be unsafe or whatever, because he knows how dangerous it is or whatever. So he would answer emails and stuff. So all this stuff starts coming out. Liver King's getting really huge. Blah blah blah. More plates, more dates is already planning a video on him. Something happened, and he goes into his email because I've watched this. It's just been a while. Something happens. He ends up going into his email and realizes he actually has a thread with this guy already. Liver King has already emailed him and reached out to him and was asking for advice, saying hey, this is my stack, blah 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 blah, and these are my blood work results, blah, what do you think? What's your advice? And so it's not, he can't deny it anymore. You know what I mean? Because then obviously he decides to drop his video, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I got the receipts because this idiot actually emailed me this years ago." And I just happened to stumble upon it and read and go through my old emails or something like that, and somehow he found it, or he put two and two together that this guy, because he wasn't messaging him as Liver King at the time, it was like ancestral supplements or something like that. And however it was tied up, he like all the gears clicked, and he was like, "Holy shit! I've emailed this guy before." So he had like the scoop, and so he dropped the bomb, and then that's when everything went fucking crazy for Liver King. But then it kind of evened out for a while. Like you didn't hear shit from him for a while. Yeah, this was 2 years ago.
That makes sense.
But he,
So he's basically a fraud.
yeah, but and that he's not. But it's like that's the thing is like it wouldn't have been as big of a deal if he wasn't insisting. Like every podcast he went on, he's like, "I'm natty. No, I'm natty." Like. And he kept like doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on like, no, I'm all natural. No, I don't take any supplements. No, not even like vitamins. He would just say crazy shit. Like, he's like, dude, come on, you're on fucking something, dude. Like, you can't get fucking abs like that. You can't get, definition like that without gear.
There are so many people that I have seen get sort of spirited away into the law of attraction vacuum.
Yeah.
Where it's like, there's a lot of that stuff that is applicable. There's a certain iteration of it where it's like they turn off all of their ethical frameworks. They just completely abandon them. I don't know if this is making any sense yet, but
Yeah.
It could be like.
Well, I think I just attribute it to like demonic possession. I think you literally go too far and you just open yourself up to like spiritual influence, dude. I think it's legitimately demonic possession.
It's like completely unregulated, and it's like a lot of it. It's fascinating because a lot of it is echoed in numerous different spiritual frameworks, including Christianity.
Yeah.
And obviously, in my opinion, Jesus is the most complete framework. For the most part.
Well, it's like that scripture that talks about like gaining the world at the cost of your soul or whatever. That's basically what it is. Like these people are just like so into like whatever it is that they will literally pay with their souls.
That's the thing. There's like
right.
And when they interact with different things, it's like they don't know how to handle it, and it happens. I've seen it obviously firsthand. I think Liver King is another example. Somebody that's coming from the fitness. I mean, look at this fucking guy now, dude. He looks like shit.
Easy, dude.
He's still got some of the basic stuff, but it's like, look at his face, look at his pupils and all this stuff, whatever. And I know people my age or a couple years older than me where it's like I can be in better shape, but like, I mean, I know these people, some of their fucking bones just started to deteriorate because they were using so much fucking drugs for so many years.
Yeah.
They're only a couple years older than me, so many things. But then there's people that like, it's like they just become such a one-trick pony, and a lot of times they're like him where they're like they've latched onto this sort of law of attraction. They think that they've just got a tunnel vision. They just got to attract harder.
Right.
And it's like it's so insane because that is like one piece of the puzzle. Like if you come into faith from a Christian perspective, it's like one piece of the puzzle. Just like so many other things, like Buddhism, like in the Christian faith, especially like the Orthodox tradition, like things like meditation, they're one piece of the puzzle. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's in Orthodox, so it's really fascinating, to see all these things get sort of split up, and then these people think that they got everything, and it may even work because of the science of how some of that stuff, it may seem like it's working, but it's like for him, it's like he couldn't deal with this situation. I He doesn't know yet. That was a recent video, right? The one where he's rambling on about, I don't think I did anything illegal, right? If I doing that, will you tell me? Like he's so wrapped up and tunnel visioned on this whole like I just gotta attract harder mindset. He doesn't
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
he actually registers that there's a whole other fucking dimension that he has to be able to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like prayer is part of the like you're not supposed to just it's like a funny joke that I actually heard from I think it was like one of the pastors at the Mennonite church I used to go to, and he was talking about like the guy this guy's like a hurricane's coming or whatever, and the water starts to get high, whatever, it's like flooding. It's starting to get to where it's going to be flooding soon, whatever. And he's praying for God to like send help or whatever. And like, it's already up where you can't drive in anymore. And then like a boat comes by. He's like in the second story of his house or whatever. And he's like, hey, hey, get in the boat, whatever. And he's like, no, I'm okay. And then he just keeps praying, like, no, I'm praying. So then he's like gets up even further and he's like on the roof. And he's like, another boat comes by and he's like no, and then he's like then the helicopter comes by and he's like on the tippy top point of his roof and he just keeps praying, and then he misses out on everything, and then he dies, he goes to heaven, and he's asking God like why he didn't help him or whatever, and he's like, I did. I sent you rescuers, I sent you a boat, I sent you a helicopter. Like you said no every time. Like the prayer is part of the work. You still have to like put in the effort, dude. And even with that stupid, attraction shit, like, you can't just sit there and attract, like you're saying.
It's so funny, bro. I remember having a conversation with the girl about this early on in college, and it was so funny because we connected on that because I acknowledged like the law of attraction and so many other people, and it was like she was like really into it, dude. And she's a very attractive like person physically, you know. And I remember like there was a certain point where she just realized that I knew stuff that she didn't have, and she started like seeking me out, you know what I mean? Cuz I said something to her like that at one point, you know what I'm saying? And that was literally probably word for word what it was. It's like, you gotta first of all, you gotta, the prayer is part of it, or the faith is part of it, but you gotta fucking get out there and you gotta execute, right? Like you have to physically take action.
Yeah.
It's two. First of all, you gotta set your mind on something, right? And you have to have faith that you're gonna be able to achieve it, and that God is going to help you achieve it. But it was probably not in those exact terms, you know what I mean? Because I didn't, I was being like a little cautious because I was in New York, and then then I was like, but the other thing is like people. Oh,
I just took the stream down.
but people do that stuff and then they get mad when it doesn't happen, but they're not taking any action, because like it's really easy for me to say because I had military experience, but before that, I was always doing something actively engaging, practicing something, so it's like second nature, so it's almost like, unfathomable to me when I see something, but it's so easy to identify because it's like, well, you're just, yeah, I mean, you can believe that shit all you want, but you're not putting in the work. So,
Yeah.
you know, good luck. I don't want to be around when it all fucking falls apart. You gotta put the work in. That's all it is. And so I said something to that effect, to her, and it's like all of a sudden it's like I was being sought out, and she wanted to, she was like you know, she would come and try to seek me out whenever she was having a rough time or whatever. And you know, it was interesting because this was a really attractive woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can't. There was a certain point where I would have been like, yeah, I might want to date this person. But then it's like there was a certain point when she started to seek that out when it was just like, God dang, there's
I can't deal with this.
it doesn't matter how you look. Like,
yeah, dude.
Nothing
Yeah.
can overshadow like
Yeah.
the just absolute gutter tier spirituality that's going on here, dude. It's
Yeah.
a fucking nightmare. This is a person I had to talk this person once out of lying on their resume. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like in an extreme way too. Like
CEO of Apple.
I'm like, you know, this is a bad idea because you're going to get called.
Yeah.
And, you know, then your career is really going to be in trouble.
That's funny, dude.
You know? And it was crazy, man. And there's so many. That's just one example, bro. There's so many of my friends, especially like, you know, the fake it till you make it types. The
yeah.
extreme variations that you get on that, and it's just like, dude.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, you can fake it until you make it, but that doesn't mean like fucking scam people. Holy shit.
Right.
So many people do that. Like I even had I ran into somebody recently, like in like business, who was just
I do have to end the stream, by the way. It's like fucking
they were like
12 o'clock.
Just like not paying people. You know? Or just like, and anytime money came up, it was just like some excuse and litany of excuses. Never any money though. Never any like solutions, whatever. And that, anyway, to tie that back to Liver King, it's like there's so many different types of people like that, and they don't even realize that they're doing something unethical. And they don't have the tools to realize it, you know? Or if they do have the tools, they've turned off that section of their brain that allows them to realize it.
Are you a billionaire? No.
That's crazy, dude. The whole situation is crazy. I feel bad for him, honestly. Dude. Feel bad for his family, anyways.
Yeah, that's the people that I feel the worst for.
Yeah, and I saw his wife in the video or whoever. I'm just like, oh,
I feel
I
so
forget
bad
he
for
has
her.
like a whole ass family. He has like kids and shit.
Yeah, they're refugees at this point.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. And she's probably just going along because it's like, what the fuck is she supposed to do? He's like literally making the money, the breadwinner, or whatever, dude. Like,
yeah. I wonder what kind of bullshit he says to her.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, holy shit.
Like, if that's what we get, I don't even know. Like, I can't
yeah, what
imagine.
is she? Yeah, it's just nonstop. Damn. All right, well, we're gonna end there. We'll went over and just basically ranted on immigration the whole time. But it was fun. Now I got more stuff for Saturday.
I'll send you this banger real quick before you end the stream. This is hilarious. This says Tom Holman says that ICE will triple down in response to Zoran Mamdani.
Hell yeah, dude. Wait, I'll end on that. Let me find the Tom Holman video where he was like saying he was gonna deport, or what was he saying? He's gonna arrest the officials or something like that.
Take them out.
I don't know. Something like I wonder if I'm gonna find it. Oh yeah, here it is.
The president signed an executive order just this week threatening to defund sanctuary cities for their policies. Why not just arrest the leaders who are harboring and shielding illegal aliens, actually terrorists, from deportation?